The space station was silent in the late hours. Only the sound of engines and the faint hum of machines echoed through the long metal halls. Captain Daniel walked alone, his boots clicking softly on the steel floor. He had been warned many times that this part of the station was not safe for humans, but he had never been the kind of man to follow warnings blindly. Daniel was tall, steady, and calm, but inside he carried the weight of battles fought on faraway planets. He had survived wars, storms, and alien attacks. Yet tonight felt different. Tonight the silence was heavier, as if the walls themselves were holding a secret. He paused. His instinct screamed that someone was behind him. Slowly, he turned his head. The corridor lights flickered once, and in that moment, a figure appeared from the shadows. She was taller than most human women. Her presence filled the air like a storm waiting to break. Her armor was dark and sleek, marked with symbols Daniel did not understand. Her eyes glowed faint silver, sharp and focused on him, as if he was the only living being in the galaxy. Her hair shimmered like strands of burning copper under the pale lights. Daniel's hand moved close to his weapon. His voice was calm but low. "Do you need something?" he asked. The woman did not answer. Instead, she stepped closer. Her movements were smooth, too smooth, like a predator that had chosen its prey long before it struck. Step by step, she closed the distance. Daniel tried to move back, but before he could take another breath, her arm shot out. Her hand slammed against the wall beside his head. The sound of metal rang in his ears. In one swift motion, she pinned him to the cold wall. Her strength was shocking. Her body pressed near. Her eyes locked with his. Daniel could feel the energy radiating from her armor. But what froze him was not the power she held. It was the look in her eyes, a look that burned with certainty. For a long moment, she said nothing. The silence stretched, broken only by the steady hum of the station. Daniel's breath grew heavy. His pulse quickened. He had been in life-or-death situations before. But this was different. Finally, she leaned closer. Her lips were only inches from his ear. Her voice, low and soft, carried a dangerous heat. "You belong only to me," she whispered. Daniel's chest tightened. He blinked, unable to hide his shock. Of all the things she could have said, of all the threats or demands he had expected, these words struck deeper than any weapon. What do you mean?" he asked. His voice shook despite his effort to control it. The alien woman tilted her head, her silver eyes never leaving his. "Humans are not free here," she said slowly. "They are watched, controlled, used." Her hand pressed harder against the wall beside him. "But you are mine, and no one will take you away." Daniel tried to steady his breathing. The closeness was overwhelming. He could feel the warmth of her body, the fire in her words, and something inside him stirred. Something he did not want to admit. Fear mixed with curiosity, and curiosity with something more dangerous. She studied his face as if searching for a secret only she could see. Her eyes narrowed, but her lips curved slightly, not in a smile, but in a promise. "This is not chance," she whispered again. "You were meant to stand before me, and I was meant to find you." Daniel's throat was dry. He wanted to speak, to push her away, to demand answers, but his words failed. Every instinct told him that this was not just an encounter. It was a beginning that would change his life forever. The lights above flickered once more. The station's hum seemed louder now, as if it too felt the storm about to come. The alien woman stepped back, but only slightly. Her hand remained close to his chest, just enough to remind him that he could not escape. "You will understand soon," she said. Her voice carried both warning and desire. "And when you do, there will be no turning back." Daniel's heart pounded. He knew he should resist. He knew he should walk away. But his body refused, his mind refused. Some invisible force held him still. The alien warrior finally pulled her hand away from the wall, but her eyes stayed locked on his. She turned as if to leave, then stopped, her head tilted slightly, her hair catching the dim light like fire. "Remember my words," she said. "You belong only to me." Then, with silent steps, she disappeared into the shadows of the corridor. The silence of the station returned, but it no longer felt the same. Daniel stood frozen, his chest rising and falling, the cold wall pressed against his back. His mind replayed every word, every look, every breath. He knew nothing would ever be the same again. This was no accident. This was the start of something forbidden, something dangerous, something powerful. And deep inside, Daniel felt a truth he could not deny. His fate was no longer his own. Daniel could not sleep that night. He lay in his small quarters on the human wing of the station, staring at the ceiling. The words she whispered still echoed in his ears. "You belong only to me." He tried to reason with himself. He had met dangerous aliens before. He had fought in wars where entire fleets had been destroyed. But this was different. This was personal, and it made his blood run cold. When the station alarms signaled morning, Daniel rose and dressed in silence. His fellow officers were busy with reports and patrol duties, none of them noticing the storm inside him. He forced himself to act normal, but his mind replayed the moment again and again. The silver eyes, the strength in her hand, the way she spoke like she had already claimed him. By evening, he found himself walking again through the dim corridors. His instincts told him she would appear, and he was right. From the shadows, she stepped out, her presence filling the narrow hall like fire spreading through air. This time, she did not rush him. She stood with her hands behind her back, her gaze steady. "You came back," she said. Her voice was calm, but there was something sharp beneath it. Daniel's fist tightened at his side. "You forced me into this," he replied. "You gave me no choice." A faint smile touched her lips. "Humans always believe they choose," she whispered, "but fate is older than choice." She walked closer, not pinning him this time. Instead, she stopped only an arm's length away. Her eyes searched his face, as if she wanted to read every thought he had ever carried. Daniel gathered his courage. "Tell me who you are. Tell me what you want." Her voice dropped low. "My name would mean nothing to you, but my rank, that matters. I am part of the council guard, sworn to obey the rulers of my people, sworn never to break their laws." She paused, her silver eyes glowing brighter. "And yet here I stand, breaking the highest law of all." Daniel frowned. "Which law?" "The law of contact," she whispered. "We are forbidden from claiming a human, forbidden from binding ourselves to your kind." Her voice grew tighter, as if every word was dangerous to speak. "But I have already broken it. I claimed you the moment I saw you." The corridor seemed colder. Daniel's chest grew heavy. He tried to understand. Why? Why me? She leaned closer, her breath warm against his skin. "Because you are different. Human will is dangerous. Your people resist chains even when they cannot win. The council fears you. They want to keep humans weak, scattered, used for labor, nothing more." Her voice turned fierce. "But I see more. I see fire inside you, fire that even my kind cannot destroy." Daniel swallowed hard. The weight of her words pressed on him. For years, he had known humans were treated as second class on many stations. But hearing it from her, a guard of the council itself, made his anger boil. "You risk everything just to tell me this?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Yes, my rank, my honor, even my life. If the council learns what I feel, what I have done, they will execute me, but I do not care." Her hand rose, brushing lightly against his chest plate. "You belong only to me, and I will not let them take you." Daniel's heart raced. His instincts screamed to step back. But something inside him kept him still. He looked in her eyes and saw not just danger, but also truth. She was not lying. She had chosen him, against all logic, against all law. "This is madness," he whispered. Her lips curved slightly. "Love always is." The word hung heavy between them. Daniel froze. Love, she had spoken it so openly, so fearlessly, as if it were stronger than the council, stronger than death itself. Before he could reply, the sound of boots echoed down the hall. Voices in the alien tongue grew louder. She turned sharply, her eyes narrowing with sudden speed. She grabbed his wrist and pulled him into a hidden maintenance tunnel. Inside the narrow, dark passage, her grip was firm. Her voice dropped into a whisper. "They must not see us together. If they do, Everything ends tonight. Daniel breathed heavily in the tight space. The heat of her body so close, he could feel the weight of her choice pressing against them both. She had risked everything, broken the law, chosen him above her duty. For the first time, Daniel realized he was no longer just a captain surviving on a hostile station. He was part of something forbidden, a secret that could shake the balance of power across the galaxy. As the voices passed, she leaned close again, her whisper softer but sharper than ever. Do you see now? This is bigger than you, bigger than me. This is the truth they fear, that human and alien could stand together, not as enemies, but as one. Her silver eyes glowed in the shadows. You must decide soon, Daniel. Either walk away and forget me, or stay and risk everything. Daniel's chest rose and fell. His mind screamed for reason. But his heart beat with something new. In that hidden passage, pressed between metal walls and the fire in her gaze, Daniel understood the truth. He could no longer walk away. The station looked calm from the outside, great rings of steel floating above a blue planet. But inside, the walls carried whispers of fear. Every corridor, every locked chamber held secrets, and among them was the most dangerous one, the bond between Daniel and the alien guard. After their meeting in the hidden tunnel, Daniel returned to his quarters with a storm inside his chest. He tried to act normal during duty hours, giving orders to his small human team, checking supply reports, reviewing patrol routes. But his mind was not with the numbers. It was with her voice, with the truth she had revealed. The Council feared humans. They wanted his people to remain weak, used, controlled. Yet she had risked her life to say those words to him. That thought alone kept his heart restless. In the days that followed, Daniel began to notice the change. Alien officers moved differently in the halls. Their eyes watched the humans more carefully. Orders became stricter, permissions cut shorter. It was as if the Council itself sensed something shifting. One evening, as Daniel finished his patrol near the docking bay, she appeared again. This time she wore a cloak over her armor, blending with shadows. Her silver eyes found him instantly. You must be careful, she whispered. The Council grows restless. They suspect something, not of us yet, but of the humans as a whole. There is talk of restrictions, even deportations. Daniel's jaw tightened. Deportations? To where? To colonies at the edge of the galaxy, she replied. Cold worlds, mining outposts, places where humans rarely return alive. The words sank into Daniel's chest like knives. His people were already struggling for dignity, and now they would be sent away like prisoners, his fists clenched. Why would they do this now? Her voice grew heavy. Because I defied them. The Council feels cracks in their control. They think humans are stirring, and perhaps they are right. Daniel looked around the empty bay, lowering his voice. Are you saying a war is coming? She did not answer at once. Instead, she stepped closer, her cloak brushing against him. Her eyes burned with a strange mix of sorrow and pride. It has already begun, Daniel, but it is not fought with guns or ships yet. It is fought in silence, in secrets, in choices like mine and yours. Daniel felt the weight of her words. This was no longer about him alone. This was about his entire race. He thought of the human children playing in the small quarters, of the workers breaking their backs in the cargo bays, of the young soldiers dreaming of home. All of them lived under alien rule, and all of them would pay the price if the Council decided to strike. His voice was low but firm. Then we cannot stay silent. She studied him for a moment, her lips tightening. Silence keeps you alive. Speaking out destroys you. Daniel shook his head. Maybe, but silence also chains us forever. For the first time, her expression shifted. The fierce guard, always controlled, let a flicker of doubt cross her face. She looked away as if struggling with her own oath. If you fight, Daniel, you will not just fight the Council. You will fight the entire order of the galaxy. You cannot imagine the power they hold. Daniel stepped closer, his voice steady. Then why did you choose me? Why whisper those words to me if you never meant for me to rise? Her eyes snapped back to his, glowing silver like moons. Because I could not resist, she whispered. Because fate pulled me to you. Because even if it destroys me, I cannot let go. For a moment, silence filled the bay. The hum of ships in the distance seemed far away. They stood only a breath apart, both caught between fear and something deeper. Suddenly, the station lights flashed red. A voice echoed through the comms. All units report to command. Possible breach detected in Sector 12. She turned sharply, pulling her cloak tighter. Go, Daniel. If they see us together now, it will be the end. But Daniel caught her wrist before she could leave. His voice was low, fierce. If war has already begun, then I need to know everything. No more secrets. Her eyes searched his, and for the first time, he saw pain there, not just strength. Slowly she nodded. Meet me tomorrow. Docking Bay 6, midnight. I will tell you what the council hides. Then she slipped into the shadows, gone before anyone could see. Daniel stood frozen for a moment, his pulse racing. He knew he had just stepped into something greater than himself. The silent war was already unfolding around him, and now he was no longer a bystander. He was part of it. As he walked back through the metal halls, he felt the weight of invisible eyes watching him. The council's control was strong, but stronger still was the spark that had been lit. The spark between a human and an alien who had defied her own laws. And Daniel knew one truth above all. The galaxy was about to change. Docking Bay 6 was dark when Daniel arrived. The great doors towered above him like the jaws of a beast, silent and waiting. Cargo crates stood in shadows, the air heavy with the smell of fuel and metal. Daniel's heartbeat echoed louder than his footsteps. He had faced battleships and warlords before, but this meeting made his chest tighten in a way no battle ever had. She was already there, standing near the edge of the bay, her cloak drawn around her, the silver glow of her eyes cut through the dark. When she saw him, she did not move at once. She only watched, as if testing whether he would truly come. You came, she whispered at last. Daniel gave a small nod. You asked me to, and I want answers. She stepped closer, her cloak shifting with emotion. Underneath, he could still see the dark lines of her armor, symbols of her rank, a reminder of the power she carried. Yet in this moment, she seemed less like a soldier and more like something else, someone torn between two worlds. The council is preparing something, she said. Her voice was low, careful. They fear the human spirit. They fear the way you fight, even when the battle is hopeless. And so they plan to break that spirit completely. Daniel's fists clenched. How? Her eyes softened, though her words were sharp. By dividing you, by sending your people to different outposts, by scattering you so no leader can rise, no voice can grow strong enough to challenge them. Daniel felt anger boiling inside him. He had seen humans suffer before, but this plan was different. It was not survival. It was control, a cage designed for his entire race. She reached out, her fingers brushing his arm gently. I should not be telling you this. Every word I speak here is treason, but I cannot stay silent when I see what they want to do. Daniel looked at her hand on his arm, strong but trembling faintly. Why risk everything for me? He asked quietly. Why not stay loyal to your council, your people? Her breath caught for a moment. Then she answered, because loyalty means nothing when it kills what is right. I have followed orders all my life. I have fought wars in the name of the council. I have watched innocents bleed, and still they called it justice. But when I saw you, Daniel, something inside me broke for the first time. I wanted to choose for myself, and I chose you. The words hung heavy between them. Daniel stared into her silver eyes, searching for any sign of weakness. But there was none, only fire and certainty. The weight of her choice pressed on him, dangerous yet powerful. You chose me, he repeated slowly. His voice was quiet, almost unsure. Yes, she whispered, and I will not take it back. Silence filled the docking bay. The hum of distant engines seemed far away. Daniel felt a pull inside him, a bond he could not explain. He had no reason to trust her, no reason to let her close, and yet his heart refused to resist. He took a step forward, closing the small distance. Then if you chose me, you need to understand, I cannot let my people suffer. I cannot stand by while they're broken. Her lips curved, not into a smile, but into something softer, almost painful. That is why I was drawn to you. Daniel, you fight even when you know the cost, and that is why the council fears you. That is why I love you." The words struck like lightning. Daniel's breath caught. He had expected threats, secrets, even betrayal. But not this, not love. His chest tightened, his voice caught. "You love me?" She nodded, no hesitation. "It is madness. I know. It is forbidden, I know. But it is the truth, and even if it destroys me, I will not deny it." Daniel's world tilted. For a moment he could only stare. Her silver eyes shone not with command, but with vulnerability. She was giving him the most dangerous gift of all, her heart. Before he could speak, the sound of footsteps echoed outside the bay. Guards passing, their voices sharp in the alien tongue. She grabbed his hand, pulling him deeper into the shadows, her fingers locked around his tightly, refusing to let go. In the darkness, pressed close together, Daniel felt the weight of her grip. It was not only strength, it was desperation. It was a vow, unspoken but clear. As the guards moved away, silence returned. She did not release his hand. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Now you know the truth, Daniel. You know what I feel. You know what I risk. The bond between us is not weakness. It is power, but it will also bring war." Daniel's chest rose and fell. He looked at her and finally spoke, his voice steady. "Then let them come, because I will not walk away. Not from this, not from you." Her eyes widened, and for the first time, a true smile touched her lips, faint but real. She pressed her forehead gently against his, her whisper soft as the hum of the station. "Then we are one, Daniel, and nothing in this galaxy will break that." In that quiet, docking bay, hidden from the council's eyes, a bond was sealed. Not in words alone, but in choice, in risk, in love. It was a bond that would shake the walls of the galaxy, a bond that would grow stronger with every threat, every battle, every secret they shared. The war outside was silent, but within their hearts, the fire had already begun. The days that followed were heavier than iron. Daniel carried the secret bond like a hidden flame in his chest. He performed his duties, spoke to his team, and walked the station's long corridors as if nothing had changed. Yet every moment his thoughts returned to her, the alien warrior who had broken her laws to choose him. They met in shadows, never in the open. Their words were soft but filled with fire. Every glance, every whisper deepened the connection between them. But with every meeting, the risk grew. The council's watch tightened, new patrols were added, new cameras installed. Human movements were restricted more and more. It was clear the leaders sensed a shift they could not explain. And then the storm came. One night, Daniel returned to his quarters after patrol, only to find two of his human officers waiting, their eyes wide, their faces pale. "Captain," one whispered, "they know something. They're asking questions, not just about us, about you, about who you've been seen with." Daniel's chest tightened. He tried to keep his voice calm. "Who told them?" The officer looked down, unable to meet his eyes. Someone betrayed us." The words hit harder than any blow. Daniel had fought enemies all his life, but betrayal from within was a wound far deeper. He dismissed his men quickly, not wanting them to see the storm on his face. As soon as they left, he knew what he had to do. He rushed through the silent halls, moving with practiced caution, his heart hammered in his chest. He had to see her. He had to warn her. She was waiting in the hidden maintenance tunnels, her cloak pulled tight, her eyes searching. The moment she saw his face, her expression sharpened. "Something has happened," she whispered. Daniel nodded, his voice rough. "The council suspects. They know someone has broken the law. They're looking for us." Her jaw tightened, her hand curling into a fist. "Then the news tightened sooner than I thought." Daniel stepped closer, his voice fierce. "Someone betrayed us, a human, maybe, or one of your own. Someone has spoken, and now they will come for you." She looked at him, silver eyes burning. "Then they will have to kill me, because I will not step back. Not now. Not ever." Daniel reached for her hand, gripping it tightly. "And I will not let them take you." For a brief moment, the fire between them burned brighter, stronger, but then the sound of boots thundered through the tunnels. Alien voices barked orders, the glow of torches flashing against the walls. "They are here," she whispered, drawing her blade from her side. The silver edge shimmered in the dim light. "They know." Daniel's heart pounded. He drew his weapon as well. For the first time since their bond, they stood side by side as soldiers, united not by orders but by choice. The patrol passed close, beams of light sweeping the shadows. Daniel held his breath. Her grip on his arm was steady, but then a voice shouted in the alien tongue, and the soldiers turned, rushing toward their hiding place. Steel clashed. Gunfire rang through the tunnels. Daniel fought with precision, his blaster cutting through the dark. She moved like a storm, her blade flashing, her armor ringing with every strike. Together they fought, back to back, breathless but unbroken. Yet even in the chaos, Daniel knew the truth. Someone had told them. Someone had given them away. When the last soldier fell, silence returned, heavy and sharp. Their chests rose and fell, sweat and blood staining their armor. She lowered her blade slowly, her eyes fierce but shadowed with doubt. "They knew where to find us," she whispered. "Too quickly, too easily." Daniel nodded, his voice low. "It was betrayal, and if they know, then the Council already has plans in motion." For the first time since he had met her, Daniel saw fear in her eyes, not fear for herself, but for him, for them. "They will not stop," she whispered. "They will send more. They will send everyone, until either we are broken or the galaxy burns." Daniel reached for her again, his hand steady despite the storm inside him. "Then let it burn," he said, his voice fierce, "because I will not give you up, not to them, not to anyone." Her breath caught. Her silver eyes glistened with fire and sorrow. She leaned closer, whispering with trembling certainty, "Then we will stand together, even if betrayal comes from every side." In that moment, Daniel knew the truth. The war was no longer silent. It had begun with whispers, but now it would roar with fire. And somewhere among the humans, among the Council, a traitor had already chosen their side. The alarms never stopped. Red lights flashed across the station, and the sound of sirens echoed through every corridor. Daniel and the alien warrior ran side by side, their boots striking hard against the metal floor. The betrayal had spread like fire, and now soldiers poured into every section, searching, hunting. Daniel's chest burned with every breath, but his grip on his weapon never loosened. He glanced at her as they turned another corner. Her silver eyes glowed with fierce determination, her cloak torn, her blade stained with the fight they had just survived. "They're closing in," Daniel shouted. "I know," she replied, her voice sharp but calm. "We must reach the docks before the gates lock. After that, there is no way out." Blaster fire cut through the air. Sparks flew as beams struck the walls around them. Daniel ducked and returned fire, taking down 2 soldiers before they could reload. She leapt forward with inhuman speed, her blade flashing, cutting through the line before they could react. Together, they pushed forward, leaving a trail of smoke and sparks behind. Every corridor seemed endless, every door sealed tighter than the last. The station itself was turning against them. Daniel's mind raced. He had fought battles before, but never with the weight of knowing the entire Council's wrath was focused on him alone. At last, they reached the edge of Docking Bay 4. The doors were sealed, heavy steel reinforced with energy locks. Soldiers gathered at both ends of the corridor, their weapons raised. "We are trapped," Daniel muttered. Her eyes narrowed. "No, not while I still breathe." She pulled a small device from her belt, its surface glowing with alien symbols. She slammed it against the lock, sparks flying. The doors began to groan, opening inch by inch. The soldiers charged. Blaster fire lit the corridor. Daniel threw himself in front of her, his weapon firing again and again. The air filled with smoke, screams, and the sharp ring of her blade. She fought like a storm, moving faster than his eyes could follow. Every soldier that came close fell before her. Finally, the doors opened wide enough to slip through. She grabbed his arm, dragging him inside the docking bay. Together, they sprinted toward a small craft hidden in the shadows, sleek, dark, built for speed rather than war. Daniel hesitated. "This is your ship?" "It is stolen," she said with a faint grin. But it will serve. The bay doors began to close. Soldiers rushed in from behind, their voices shouting commands. Daniel, and she leapt into the ship. Her hands flew over the controls with practiced speed. The engines roared to life, shaking the entire bay. Hold on, she whispered. The ship shot forward, crashing through the half-closed gates. Sparks and debris rained down as the small vessel burst into open space. For a moment, silence filled the cockpit, only the steady hum of the engines between them. Daniel let out a long breath. We made it. Her silver eyes turned toward him, fierce but softened by something deeper. For now, she whispered. But the Council will hunt us across every star. They will never forgive this escape. Daniel leaned back, his chest rising and falling. He studied her face, the sharp lines of a warrior now touched by exhaustion. Yet even in her weariness, she looked unbroken, powerful, alive. You risked everything, he said quietly. Your rank, your honor, your life for me. She shook her head slowly. Not just for you, Daniel, for the truth, for the bond between us, for something greater than the chains they have built. Daniel reached out, his hand brushing hers on the control panel. She did not pull away. Instead, her fingers curled around his, strong and steady. For a long moment, the galaxy stretched before them, endless stars shining in the dark. The chase had begun, but inside that stolen ship, Daniel felt a strange calm. For the first time in years, he was not just surviving. He was choosing. She turned her gaze back to him, her voice low. Do you regret it? Leaving everything behind, choosing this path. Daniel met her eyes, his voice steady. No, because I did not just choose the path. I chose you. Her lips curved faintly, the closest thing to a smile he had ever seen from her. She leaned closer, her whisper soft but filled with fire. Then together, we will never bow. Outside, the stars burned bright. Behind them, the station shrank into the distance. And somewhere deep within the galaxy, the Council prepared their wrath, but none of it mattered in that moment. Not while Daniel and the alien warriors sat side by side, bound by a love that had broken every chain. The escape was not the end. It was only the beginning of the war to come. The stolen ship drifted through the black sea of stars. Daniel sat in the co-pilot's chair, his eyes scanning the endless void. For days they had fled from patrols, dodged scanners, hidden among asteroids. Yet no matter how far they ran, the shadow of the Council stretched across every star. She stood at the front of the cockpit, her silver eyes locked on the glowing display of the NAV screens. Her cloak lay tossed across the floor, her armor scarred from battles fought in narrow halls and burning skies. Yet her stance remained steady, proud, unbroken. They will not stop, Daniel said quietly. They will chase us until the end. She turned, her gaze softening for him. Then let them. For every moment they chase us, they reveal their fear, and fear is the beginning of their fall. Her words were fire, strong and steady. But Daniel knew the cost. He knew the Council's power, their fleets that stretched across galaxies, their armies that could crush entire colonies. And yet, when he looked at her, he felt something stronger than fear. We cannot keep running forever, Daniel said, his voice firm. One day, they will corner us, and when that day comes, we will have to stand. Her lips curved faintly, the smallest smile. Then we will stand together. Hours later, the ship landed on a hidden moon. Its surface was covered with jagged stone, the sky swirling with clouds of red and silver. They stepped out into the wind, the ground hard beneath their boots. This place was far from the eyes of the Council, a secret refuge known only to smugglers and outcasts. Here, they could breathe for a moment. Here, they could choose. Daniel looked out across the barren land. His chest rose and fell. When this began, I thought it was madness. I thought you were a threat. I had to escape. But now, he stopped, his voice trembling slightly. Now, I know the truth. I was never free until I met you. She stepped closer, her hand rising to touch his face gently. And I was never alive until I broke the chains for you. The wind howled around them, the stars above burning bright. For a moment, the galaxy itself seemed to pause. Then she dropped to one knee, her blade held across her palms, silver light reflected off the steel. Her voice was low but carried with the force of a vow. Before the stars, before the endless void, I swear this. I am yours, Daniel. Yours against the council. Yours against death. Yours until the end of every world. Daniel's breath caught. He had faced war, betrayal, and fear, but never had he seen such devotion. Slowly, he lowered himself too, his hand resting over hers, his voice steady though his heart thundered. And I swear the same. You are mine, not as a prize, not as a chain, but as the fire that keeps me alive. Whatever comes, whatever war we face, I will not let go. The vow hung between them, binding them stronger than law, stronger than blood, stronger than fear. Above them, the sky split with thunder, ships descended, sharp and dark. The council had found them. The war had come. Alarms on the ship rang out. Soldiers poured from the landing craft, armored, armed, their voices sharp in the alien tongue. She rose to her feet, her blade gleaming. This is it, she whispered. They come to end us. Daniel lifted his blaster, his stance firm, then let them try. The soldiers advanced, filling the barren moon with fire and steel. But Daniel and she stood shoulder to shoulder, their hearts bound by the vow they had made. Every strike, every shot was no longer for survival. It was for each other, for the bond that had broken every chain. The battle roared. Fire lit the skies. The council's army pressed hard. But for every soldier that struck, Daniel and she struck harder. Their movements were one, their wills unshaken, their vow burning brighter than any fleet. At last, the ground trembled as the council's flagship loomed overhead. A voice thundered across the battlefield, declaring their doom. But Daniel raised his weapon high, shouting words that echoed across the moon. We are not yours. We are not broken. We are one. She stood beside him, her silver eyes blazing. Her voice joined his, fierce and unyielding. And nothing in this galaxy will take us apart. The soldiers faltered. Fear rippled through their ranks, for in that moment, it was clear this was not just a man and a woman, not just human and alien. This was a bond the council could not break. The vow had been spoken, and it would echo across the stars. Whatever war came next, whatever fleets rose against them, Daniel and his warrior would face it together. Their love was no longer forbidden, it was a weapon. And it was only the beginning.